We are less than a week away from the first preseason game for the Denver Broncos, and a surprising, unknown Denver Broncos player is turning some major heads. We have a surprise cut on the team already for a team player who I thought was going to be a lock to make this team, and we hear more Bo Nix praise. We're going to break all that down and a ton more in this video. If you're new to the channel, I'm Ben, diehard Denver Broncos fan. It helps me out a ton. If you like the Broncos, if you would hit that like and subscribe button. So I knew going into this season that one of the areas we improved the most on was our defensive line. I felt very confident that we had a platoon of outside rushers. We have Jonah, Elliss, who we drafted, who should have been drafted much higher, who's got NFL pedigree with his dad and brothers playing the NFL. We got Bonitto, who is an incredible at pressuring the quarterback. And then obviously we have Baron Browning on a contract year and Jonathon Cooper on contract years. There's no way that one of those dudes doesn't end up getting that 10 sack mark that we haven't had since Bradley Chubb. What I did not see coming was Thomas Incoom just continuing his ascent, and he has been a standout player for this Denver Broncos outside edge rusher. And we're going to break down just what some of the people on the Hill are seeing and saying about him. And then we're going to talk about a surprise cut candidate. So he has averaged at least one sack for the first 10 days of practice, and he is just constantly a problem. Now, the good news for the Denver Broncos is you throw him into that platoon, and it is now a scary outside edge rush where you are going to be putting pressure on quarterbacks, and that's a great thing. If we can stay in games and they have to throw the ball, that's going to be fantastic. But it is worth noting that he has now penciled himself in as not like a cut candidate, but he's going to make the 53, and you might see him in rotation in meaningful minutes, which is pretty surprising. We saw him last year. This is the game against the Los Angeles Rams, and you see that little dip that he has, very Von Miller-esque in that. And what's surprising about this is that he is a player who did not play at a major D1 university. He played actually just a couple hours away from me for the Central Michigan Chippewas. And you see this ability to dip, it's existed for a long time. There's a lot of times that the filming is so bad that you have to wait till the instant replay to see it, because he gets around that left tackle. And while obviously he's not playing at the University of Michigan or Michigan State, left tackles, we've seen with Quinn Meinerz that you can have good offensive line at any level of college football. And so the fact that he was able to have the type of production he had there is great news. And you just see his, right, again, there's an example there where he gets in and it doesn't even show up on camera because he is so fast to that outside. So I think he and Bonitto, pass rush specialists, and that is absolutely fantastic news, especially paired with the fact that we got great news about a player being reinstated to the Broncos. We're going to talk about that in just 1 second. But the biggest news of the day and the most surprising news of the day was after Justin Simmons was let go from this team. Everyone had talked about Caden Sterns being a lock at that safety position, that he probably should have been a starting safety 2 years ago for the Denver Broncos, and he has just had injury after injury. And Sean Payton kind of alluded to the fact that he's got a long road ahead of him, and evidently today Sean Payton told him that he's either going to be cut or traded. And I think the good news about this is that shows me that Sean Payton has a ton of faith in JL Skinner. And that's a player who we've taken a look at some of his highlight packages of really, really, really hard-hitting safety that we're not used to seeing dudes like this. Reminds me a little bit of a Brian Dawkins. My big concern with him here would just be, are we going to be watching for the penalty flag every single time we see him make a hit like that? Because you just can't hit like this in the NFL anymore. But he has been all over the training camp field, just making massive hit after massive hit. And if he's doing that in practice, what will he actually do in a game? And so with a healthy Brandon Jones, knocking on wood, with PJ Locke and with him, Sean Payton has to feel very good about that safety room in order to go out and make a cut like he did to Caden Sterns. So that's crazy news for sure. As we're looking at this, there have been rampant speculation that the reason that we cut Caden is that we might intend to go out and try to get another deal in place and get Justin Simmons back on this team, because truly we are in a place where we would have some cap. If you take a look, next year we're slotted to have the fourth most cap space. Or we're just outside, or I think we're like 11 next year. And then the following year, we're 4th, which is awesome news to be in, to go from Russell Wilson, where we're really hamstrung, to now hopefully we have a rookie quarterback and a ton of money and we can go be competitors in free agency again. This is just more evidence that, man, this competitive rebuild is working, because I think we're good now and we're going to have cap space to be good into the future. Very curious to hear, do you all trust JL Skinner, PJ Locke, and Brandon Jones to hold down that safety room, or do you think you would be in favor of us like giving up some of that cap space to go and get Justin Simmons for this year? Then the other huge news of the day to me is that Uwazurike was reinstated to the NFL. You remember he was the college player out of Iowa State who was suspended for an entire year because of gambling and making bets on teams that he was on, which is a big, big no-no. We've heard Sean Payton just go out of his way to praise this guy and how high he is on him, and the fact that he is strong and young and they still see a ton of potential in him. I had thought that we would try to distance ourselves from him, but Sean really talked him up in today's after camp press conference that he did. He really talked him up and just talked about how remorseful he was, how much he learned about it, how much he's teaching the team about gambling and all that kind of stuff. And if you take a look at some of his production from college, this is definitely a major program that he's playing in. Huge dude, like built more like a nose tackle, but we plan on playing him next. Sorry, I still have this on 2x speed. I'll drop it down for us. I watch everything in 2x speed, but you see his ability to bat balls reminds us a little of Shelby Harris in that way. And although he's built like a nose tackle, they plan on playing him kind of in that Franklin place right there. And so I just see this area where we could not stop the run, and our defensive line was just garbage last year. I see just huge improvements in what we have. His ability to stop the run and then go after the quarterback. I think that is without a doubt our biggest upgrade this year is our defensive line. So now you got Incoom coming out of nowhere, and now you're talking we got 5 guys there with Drew Sanders maybe coming back October or November. You're talking 6 guys. There's not going to be enough snaps to see what we even have there, with 2 of them being incredibly hungry and being on contract years. Other big news out of camp here is that coming Tuesday or Wednesday, Sean Payton intends to tell us who will be starting the preseason game against the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, we're curious about the center position. We're curious about what's happened at inside linebacker. Is that Jonas Griffith? Is that Cody Barton? What's going to be happening there? But I think the question we're all asking, is it Bo Nix or is it Jarrett Stidham? You could see a world where Bo Nix is the starter for the season, but he gives the veteran nod to Jarrett against the Colts on Sunday. I think if Nix is already named the starter for the game on Sunday, there's no way that is not his team, and we're just seeing another player come out and give flowers to Bo Nix, and that is today our man Jaleel came out and said that Bo Nix is actually teaching him about running routes. And he said, like, that's very rare for a quarterback to be teaching me, and just how different he is. And now we're looking at a place where of these padded practices, Bo Nix has had first team reps in 5 of the last 7 practices. So it seems like all the writing on the wall for Bo Nix to be Sean Payton's guy going into the season. And we're just seeing some great throws across the middle for the first time. It feels like for the first time in forever that we've seen throws across the middle, seeing this nice little hookup here with Courtland Sutton, seeing some back shoulder fades to Courtland Sutton, but it's going to be very interesting to see. We'll bring you all the news right here. Either way, we have preseason football just days away. We have so much to believe in. My ball's here. 3, 2. Oh, at the buzzer. Let's go.